Okay, welcome to video 3, the Championship predictions video 26-27, with some good tips. I feel confident now. So as requested, I've left the bathroom door open because some people wanted to see what my tiles look like on my bathroom. Hope this satisfies your requests. Thank you. I would say this took me a little while just to get my brain around a few things, and I still think it's a little bit unpredictable. And I think the Championship, you'd have to say, is very much that way. You've only got to look at last year. I predicted Hull to get relegated. Not very clever as it seems now, but actually looking back, Hull actually had, well, the expected goals were actually one of the lowest in the division. So looking back, you can't, sometimes teams get on runs and they do very well with very little, and that happened with Hull. Another team I looked at getting relegated was Preston, and again they were right at the top, and I thought, oh my god, Hull and Preston, and they eventually dropped way down the league in the end. One of the worst performing teams in the second half of the season. Ipswich almost did brilliantly for me, but it was a bit like that last year. I wonder what you're thinking for the Championship. There's some teams up there that certainly, especially in the Premier League, that make it very interesting, with our West Ham, Wolves and Burnley all capable of going straight back up, very strong as they always are. So it's typical, but what I'm going to do today is start with the relegation teams. Okay, I've been doing the top teams first in my other videos, but I'm going to start with the relegation teams first, and we'll start right at the bottom. A little bit of and ah in here. The bottom three and even fourth from bottom, very close in my mind where I wanted to put them all. So wouldn't be too literal where they are as such, but I went for 24th Blackburn Rovers. And Blackburn Rovers have got Tony Mowbray back this year. Now Tony Mowbray he's had his moments, he's been good at Blackburn previously. They've got the problem with the Vankies, the owners there, that they don't really want to dip in their pockets too much, and they're a bit problematic at times. And Tony Mowbray's come back to see if he can help them get better than 20th of last year. I think they made 2 signings, innocuous signings. Not a lot's gone out either, but they are a 20th place team that are trying to improve. You've got teams coming up that are going to try and obviously be better than them from coming up. You've got new, almost better, I think better teams this year in the top part of the division also. So it's going to be a harder division, and they just haven't really got enough about them for me. Antonio Mowbray failed a bit at his last year at West Brom. He's come back from health problems, he's older. So I just think that's it. 24th for Blackburn. And if you look at the odds for those, Blackburn are 9-2 to get relegated. I think that's a great price. I think that's a proper one. That's a really good bet for me in this season. And then you could look at, and I may well look at, a possible bet on Blackburn 14-1 to finish bottom as a nice value bet. Don't have to put much on for a nice return. So yeah, you got them, and you got, again, this is a team that I could go a bit two ways with, but it's Lincoln, and then I put them in 23rd. Just that they're coming up. They've got rid of their manager. I understand their clubs run well, and the way they run, the manager may not be as important potentially, but he's gone. He's gone to Bristol City, Skvala. So they're having to deal with having the smallest budget in the division. Something they're used to. They're the 17th, 17th smallest, 17th biggest, get that right, budget in League One, and become champions. Very much punching above their level. Sometimes you get that confident run going in the division, and you just become unstoppable. Your belief in yourselves, and it can mean a lot. They make them huge different changes. Certainly the managers obviously would be the biggest one. So I get the feeling with the change in manager from 1 to 2, and from a guy who was obviously achieving really well, and has had a career of doing so, that they changed to 2 new guys who we don't know yet, and could be just as good, if not better. We don't know that either. There's a lot of unknowns, but with them overachieving last year, I feel, coming into this year without much change, I think they might find it all too much. So in 22nd place, I've gone for another promoted team in Bolton under Steve Schumacher, manager who did very well in getting Plymouth up into the Championship previously. And again, here we are again with him doing the same for Bolton. Bolton have been struggling to find the right person and the right results to push them into the Championship again. They are back probably where they belong at least. Some fans, I'm sure, think they should deserve to be in the Premier League also, and we'll see how they get on with that over the next few years. But if I'm right in what I'm saying, then that won't be happening. So, yeah, the reason is just, they come up as the third strongest team coming up from League One, and they need to obviously improve and jump up a level here. And I don't feel they've made the signings to do so. And plus, they were a dominant team, always on the front foot in League One, and League Two they're not likely to be that, and they may suffer for that consequence. So relegation, I think, for me. My next team that I'm going to do will be part of the other teams I want to go through, from basically from 4th through to 21st, and we've obviously got 3 teams I'm going to focus on particularly at the end to talk more about. So I'm going to go through things quickly. I say that there's a couple of teams I won't do that with, and one is the 21st position team, and that is Watford. Okay, Watford have got a new manager in this year, and another manager from Italy. Italian owners have obviously coincided their ownership at Udinese with Watford, and there's a lot of transfers going between the two clubs and this year we've got 4 players coming in from Udinese for that reason. Watford do have a lot of good players, but at the end of last year they had 8 matches without a win. They conceded, I think, 4 goals or 4 goal defeats in 2 of those matches, and another couple of matches they lost by at least 2 goals. So they had some bad form and haven't done that great in friendlies, lost a few, and now only just beaten Crawley in the last minute winner in the League Cup before it went to penalties. And Crawley obviously a League 2 side, not fancy to do that well either. And then you got, so Dionisi is their new manager, and he's got a fair track record, got good experience, but his recent job was 5 months for a Serie B club called Empoli, and he managed to get the sack, having had a bad run of games towards the end, and now he comes here, and let's see how he gets on. But my gut feeling with the way that the club's run, 24 managers in 14 years, is not a good sign for the future. The fans aren't happy about that much, and it seems like, as you can imagine, they just want to have one manager who's good, that they can progress with, and they can spend a few years building something and then getting back to the Premier League. But the way things are going, I feel they will come 21st. You could still have a bet on Watford as a possible bet at 6-1 to get relegated. You know, there's not going to be a lot in it, and they could easily sneak in that bottom 3. So maybe one to think about. Okay, so we're going to go nice and fast through some of these teams now. So in 20th place, I've got Preston North End. They came 14th in the end, but they did that having only won 4 of their last 20 matches. So they were really out of form, and they're going into this year. The same manager, Paul Heckenbottom, who's a good manager. They've let 10 go, in come 4, including Spurs Divine, who was at Deepdale last year, and he's been bought up for 5 million. They've lost a couple of their very important players, and yes, I'd feel that they will be very close to relegation this year also. Then you got 19th, Charlton, a club that's sort of a bit punching at the moment. I mean, they have been in around, obviously, they've reached the Premier League before, and they have been in the Championship for plenty of years. But, you know, they're not investing lots of money. But their manager, Nathan Jones, he is a really good manager. It goes wrong, it really goes wrong for him. But at the moment, I think he's really getting a good place with the club. They made some okay signings. They should be solid. I can see them having enough above the other teams to stay up. So 19th. In 18th place is QPR. They had the second most goals given away last year with 73 goals. Only Sheffield Wednesday, who had an awful season, of course, were worse. They bought one or two decent players, including Brighton's Lamptey, who's been injured a lot, Tariq Lamptey. And if obviously he plays and is not injured this year, stays away from injuries, Premier League player. But all around, I thought probably wasn't good enough to do much better than last year. So 18th for them, and then you got Cardiff in 17th. They have a manager in Barry Murphy who did brilliant last year's first season with Cardiff. Managed to keep them in the top 2 for the whole season. They started off really strong, just lost out to Lincoln in the end, but still scored a lot of points, and deservedly went up quite clearly in front of 3rd and 4th last year. And in another year they may have even won the league with that amount of points. It was over 91 points. Then I've got West Brom, who made some good signings. They're in 16th. Manager really turned them around last year, Morrison, former player. So you can expect a steady enough season for them, and I don't fear them going down. Then you got 15th, you got Stoke, who started brilliantly last year and then really faltered after that. From this position onwards, it got a bit tough in putting teams in certain positions. In the end, I just didn't have enough about Stoke to think they would do that well and challenge playoffs or challenge even top half. They did make a big signing of Galbraith, who they bought for 10 million from Swansea. So that's a good signing, but yeah, 15th. And then you got Portsmouth. Now I wanted to kind of get them in the top half. I really like their manager, Josh Marino. He's a really good manager. He got them up 2 years ago, and they have invested some money this year. But in the end, I could only get them into 14th, and any thoughts of top half bets have gone out the window as it stands, unless something crazy happens before the start of the season. Then you've got 13th, you've got Swansea, who just, I think, another season similar to last year. The new manager, Vitor Motas, he did very well from late November last year, so expect that he'll carry on some good work with them. They've made some good signings. They've sold a few. They had to sell to Leicester. I forgot his name now. Is it Liam Cullen? Signed. We talked about him in the other video, and they really will miss him. And the Galbraith, we just mentioned, to Stoke. So, middling season for them. Birmingham did really well last year in the first season in the Championship. They need some more transfers. I don't think they've got to be careful with their money the way they have it with the fair play rules these days. So Birmingham will be okay, and they'll finish 12th in my opinion. And then we've got Sheffield United, who kicked on again, and obviously did them as one of my 2 tips last year, but they really were pretty bad last year. They haven't really done much in the market. I think they're not able to do much more, and they've got a pretty similar team to last year. So in that case, I think they came 12th last year. I've got them down as 11th this year. Then we're going through to some teams where it's starting to get quite hard actually just be exact on the position for a few of these teams. And then the teams right at the top I was more clear on. So 10th, we got Derby. Good manager in John Eustace, came from Blackburn, he did really well with them. Signed well. They bought Schmodic, and they've got some other good players. They've re-signed Bobby Clark from RB Salzburg, who's an ex-Liverpool player, for 6 million, who was previously sold to RB Salzburg for 10 million. So yes, good season, but I don't think they'll quite make the new playoffs, which of course is 8 teams this year, which I don't really like. But that's what it's going to be, 6 teams in the playoffs, and 2 teams above that will be obviously automatically promoted. So yes, then I've got the sort of team that miss out on those places and get in the playoffs. Well, I've got down as Norwich, quite a team that's quite liked by quite a lot of people, I've heard, and I don't blame them. They had a brilliant finish the last year with Philippe Clement, who came into the club and improved him massively. He's got a good pedigree behind him. They've got a very good team, but for me, 9th place. And then you're on to the teams that did make the playoffs, or will make the playoffs in my opinion. In 8th place, brilliant first season in the Championship, I've put Good old Wrexham, we've seen the documentary, very good documentary about them and their development from the non-league, and they've made it this far, but I think they just find it a little bit hard to break the next mould. They've got a bit of a budget, but they're not as affluent as some of these teams. Okay, then you're on to 7th, Burnley. I've gone for. Obviously just come from the Premier League. They've been a bit of a yo-yo team between the two divisions over the last few years. Obviously Scott Parker did well with them to get them up last time. They've now got a manager called Nicky Hayen, Greek manager, got a good track record. They've sold a few players for quite good money. Conceded 75 goals last year in the Premier League, 22 points only. I just think they're not good enough to take the jump up like they have done in the past when they've gone into the Championship. So 7th for them. And then in 6th place, this is a funny one. Since I've done this in 6th place, I've seen a few prediction videos myself, and a lot of them don't have Bristol City in 6th. I like Bristol City. The manager is the Lincoln manager, so that's where he's gone. They bought 2 of the best strikers from League One, and in Talage, from Plymouth, who scored 17 goals in 29 games, and then the top goal scorer, Dom Ballard, who scored 23 goals. And at that point, that's going to be one of my tips. Top goal scorer, Dom Ballard, 33 to 1. I think it's a great price as an each way bet. So that's one for you to have a look and see if you agree with me. And then we're on to 5th. Okay, and this is actually another team. I'm going to slow it down. I like Millwall in the 5th in my predictions, and I'm just going to slow it down because these would be my sort of top 6, top 8 bet. I think they're a great price at 3 to 1 top 6. 13 to 8 top 8. They have bought Lisby and Arconte as 2 players of attacking type that they need, because they lack goals, but they don't concede many, and that's going to obviously always, at any level of football, if you don't concede goals, you've got a really good chance. Brilliant season last year, come 3rd. Manager Alex Neil done brilliant with them, and I can see them doing really well again. Just coming 3rd, difficult this year because there's so many good teams. But 5th place for Millwall, and think about those bets. Okay, and then in 4th, I've gone, this should say at this point, the top 4, particularly, possibly 5th, I can see them being the strong 4 or 5, and the rest be a bit away. I just felt that these are the teams you need to focus on. And 2 of them are obviously from previous Premier League. You haven't really worked it out, and 2 did really well in the playoffs, one being slightly dodgy. So 4th, I put Middlesbrough. They have signed Will Lancashire, who I also think is a very good bet for top goal scorer. I'd say more concentrate on Don Ballard, but a few quid on the side for this Will Lancashire. He scored, I think, 11 goals for Oxford United in a bad season for them. He's young, he's come from Tottenham. They talk about him being a bit of a Harry Kane. He's one of their main signings. They've signed quite a few really good ones. Their manager's called Kim Hellberg. He did really well in the Swedish leagues recently. So he's a good manager to have come in, and he proved it last year by doing so well with them. So yeah, I think a good season for them. They were strong last year. They were a very, very hard team to beat. 4th for them. Then, here we go. Judgment time. Who is it? It's the favourites. West Ham in 3rd. Okay, so I've been quite keen on the more favourite teams in the other 2 divisions, and so here it took a bit of time to get my head around this one. And my gut feeling has always been that West Ham are a little bit in disarray. They're a little bit coming into it. They expect to be in the Premier League always, and I think I would agree. I think they should always be a Premier League team. They just seem to, when West Ham lose their way, they don't have to lose their way. Sometimes a bit like Newcastle. Sometimes the fans can be very critical quite early on, and they don't help, albeit they're great, passionate fans. So, yeah, I think that with the disarray around, they've sold 5 players for very good money, but they do owe a lot of money as well, so they had to. They haven't really bought much in. There's a couple of signings, but nothing too great. So a lot of players gone. Gerard Bowen, of course, brilliant player. Shouldn't be in this league, but what a player to have at West Ham. I mean, that's probably one of the main reasons why I had to really think about it. I did think about them for first, second, third, but in the end up on third. And then from there, we have the slightly dodgy at the moment, Southampton. Not for Southampton, the team themselves or the club, but obviously the manager and the coach got involved with a bit of Spygate last year. Got chucked out of the playoffs, as most of you will be aware. So interesting story. I would love to have done them. I think they had second half of last season. They only lost 2 games of football. And one of them games was in the FA Cup semi-final against Man City. So that's not bad. And that was they're 1-0 up. I think with like 10, 15 minutes to go. So yeah, and they beat Arsenal in the quarterfinals. That's the sort of form you're talking about. They lost Childs to Southampton. He's gone. And one other player. But yes, if they hadn't had that whole thing over them from the FA, where basically Eckhart, the manager, could actually get a touchline or coaching ban, which would really affect them. I really wanted to do it. Probably was getting close to saying I wanted to do them to win the league, but there's enough doubts about them. 4 points also taken off them to say they won't just quite do it. But if he doesn't get that touchline ban, I think it's a bet to hold on to. I would sort of hold back, and I think it's Southampton 6-1 to get promoted. So I'll just see what the decision is, and if the decision goes in a good favour for him, and they haven't won too many games at that point, and the price has gone right in. That's a bet then, I think. I'm tempted to do it now, but I think it's one to wait on. But second for Southampton, close. And the team I've gone for, it was probably the team that I thought almost fairly straight away, and that's Wolverhampton Wanderers, you might have guessed. Also, obviously, down from the Premier League, high quality players at their club, particularly Mane. He's the potentially star coming through, isn't he? And I think some Premier League teams would love to have him. I don't think it's going to happen, but it still might happen. That's the problem at this stage. You can easily still lose some players, and this could change things around. It's worth thinking about that. If you don't have a bet right at the start, you don't have to. You just wait a few weeks, see what the signings are, see who goes in and out. But it's only the handicap betting you have to do before kick off the first game. Yeah, they brought in Kieran Trippier and Raul early on. They already brought in their manager, Cesar Pixoto. I don't know if I said that right. And he wants the high press attacking football that usually Championship teams who win the league who do very well. That's the sort of game that they focus on. I just feel a good fit. Last year they had periods of their season where suddenly they weren't all that bad, and they almost beat Arsenal, they almost beat United, they I think beat Liverpool. They ran a lot of teams close. I think they ran City close, I think, but they had their moments where they were capable of a lot, although they still ended up I think on 20 points. I just felt that their bad start was massively do that, and the confidence had gone. But there's a real team in there. Not many of them left. It's the one. Wolverhampton Wanderers. I feel very confident now. Took me a while, but Wolverhampton Wanderers to come first. Handicap betting, I would do them as well. They've been given 6 points on West Ham, and I think we've only got to give Southampton 5 points. I did think about maybe Millwall 18 points potentially, I think Wolves again would be the best one there. I say promotion bets for them. I mean, the one thing you could do with Wolves, with my Southampton thing, so they're 11-2 to win the Championship, but they're also 2-1 to come top 2. Now, when you think that some people are backing West Ham 7-4, 13-8 to win the league, when you don't really know what's going to happen with them, well, Wolves, even if West Ham were the team, they came into it as the strongest team before they started selling players. They did beat them, Southampton beat them, and they came second. You're getting bigger value on Wolves winning than you are and then backing West Ham themselves. So I think that could be a good price. You've also got 13-8 to be promoted. It's not too bad either. There's a few options there for them. I say wait on Southampton. You've got your Millwall 3-1, 13-8 to be in the top 8 as well. That's not a bad bet. That's a real comfort blanket there. 13-8. You put that in the accumulators like you probably would with top 2 for Wolves. But yeah, that's probably where I am with those ones. Top goal scorer, I mentioned Dan Ballard and Will Lancashire. And apart from that, I think that's that. Yeah, so have a great season watching all these great EFL matches. We've still got the Premier League video to come. So gamble responsibly, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave any comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.